the microphone. Okay, let's call to order the city council meeting for May 9th. This is the regular meeting. We had, what did we do earlier? Workshop earlier. Okay. Would you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Perkins,
Here.
Councilmember Rubio,
Here.
Councilmember Veros,
Here.
Vice Mayor Armstrong,
Here.
and Mayor Hudson.
Here. I will ask Councilmember Perkins if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please rise and join me. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You see.
Okay. Let's see if I can keep it. Are there any announcements or additions or corrections for the agenda tonight?
There are none.
Okay. Well, we're moving right along, announcements. No changes. Okay, public comment is open. Now is the time for the public. They are permitted to address the city council on items that are on the consent calendar, including a request to pull an item from the consent calendar and the reason why you wish to pull the item, or please know that the decision to remove the item from the consent calendar is at the sole discretion of the city council. Also, this a time to speak to us on any items not on the agenda. Do we have any speaker cards?
We received one speaker card from Chintra Vinakota.
Okay. Please come forward. Okay, please take 3 minutes or up to 3 minutes.
Yes.
Hi.
Respected Mayor Dave Hudson and the council members, good evening and namaste. My name is Chitra Vinakota. I'm a public resident of San Ramon. And today I'm here to share about the recent blood drive donation that our organization Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh had done. And Hindu Swayam Sevak Sangh is also known as HSS, is a non-profit socio-cultural Hindu organization with over 235 branches in 164 cities and 34 states. HSS San Ramon fosters a sense of civic duty, caring, responsibility, volunteerism, and selfless service through service activities and outreach projects that we did recently for Festival of Diwali, the food donation, Health for Humanity, Yogathon, and a backpack drive for local students. As you may know, blood donations are ever present and critical to ensuring the patients need transfusions, receiving the life-saving care they require in our community. Every 2 seconds, someone in the US needs blood. In California, the state typically needs around 7,000 donations every day to meet the demand. So without a sufficient supply of blood, hospitals and medical centers cannot provide the necessary care and treatment to those in need. This is where the blood donations drive like the one we organized with our organization plays a crucial role. By encouraging our community members to donate the blood, we can help increase the blood supply for those in need. The event was held in San Ramon and Al Costa Senior Community Center from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. During the drive, we have 40 Good Samaritans from the local community came over and donated 90 units of blood, which exceeded our initial target of 36 units. We are proud of effort by HSS volunteers and the members of Vitalant company that we have partnered with. Vitalant is a national largest organization, independent and nonprofit focused exclusively on providing life-saving blood services. We want to highlight the crucial role played by the youth wing of our organization in making the blood donation drive a success. They were actively involved, the youth. We made them to bring awareness, like come to the front and let's supply this one. So they were handed with us in the social media platforms, organization registration, and coordinating the event. We believe that actively involving the youth and people into community service not only benefits the community, but also provides a platform for their personal growth and development. In conclusion, we not only collected 90 units of blood and inspired the local community to get involved in this vital service.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great job, and thank you for the work that you've done.
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak before we close public comment? Yes, you have another card?
We have no other public speakers.
Okay, I just asked if anybody else wanted to. Seeing none, we've closed the public comment. Next item on the agenda is the consent calendar.
Yeah, I'd like
Consent
to,
calendar are acted upon by the city council with a single motion and generally routine in nature. Anyone wishing to pull an item from the council? Seeing none, go ahead.
yeah, I
Yeah.
don't wish to pull an item, but I'd like to move consent items 5.1 through 5.7 with a correction to item 5.4 to correct the title in the name of the resolution. There's a reference to vice mayor, change that to mayor, and also in the same correction for the last paragraph.
Okay, we have a motion by Armstrong, I believe.
That's okay.
Second up there already.
Second.
Please vote. This is further discussion, seeing none.
Just a minute. It's not there yet. Okay, now it's there.
Okay, looks like it's
5-0.
pretty unanimous.
5-0. 5-0.
So you did get that motion, Armstrong, second for Rose?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay,
Item 6, special presentation.
and item 6. A highlight of the evening is a special presentation. Let me go to it. And this is
6-1 is proclamation.
6.1 is a proclamation declaring May 20th through the 26th, 2023 is National Safe Boating Week. And Greg Olson, you are the branch chief of the United States Coast Guard, and one correction, Vice Mayor Armstrong will be reading it to you. You don't want, we could be here all night if you waited for me to read.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And
Okay, hi Greg. All right, this is a proclamation of the City Council of the City of San Ramon declaring May 20 through 26, 2023 as National Safe Boating Week. Whereas for over 100 million Americans, boating continues to be a popular recreational activity enjoyed from coast to coast. And whereas during National Safe Boating Week, the U.S. Coast Guard and its federal, state, and local boating partners encourage all boaters to explore and enjoy America's beautiful waters responsibly. And whereas the Coast Guard estimates that human error accounts for most boating accidents and that life jackets could prevent nearly 83% of boating fatalities. And whereas through basic boating safety procedures, carrying life-saving emergency distress and communications equipment, wearing life jackets, attending safe boating courses, participating in free boat safety checks, and staying sober when navigating, we can help ensure boaters on America's coastal, inland, and offshore waters stay safe throughout the season. And whereas National Safe Boating Week is observed to bring attention to important life-saving tips for recreational boaters so that they can have a safer, more fun experience out on the water throughout the year. And whereas on average, 650 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the US. 75% of these are fatalities caused by drowning. And whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors. And whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets. Now therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of San Ramon hereby supports the goals of the Safe Boating Campaign and proclaims May 20th through 26th, 2023 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round efforts to promote safe boating. We urge all those who boat to practice safe boating habits and wear a life jacket at all times while boating. Dated May 9th, 2023, Mayor Dave E. Hudson. Shake a hand in first.
Now is the time, Mr. Olson, if you have some comments you'd like to make.
Okay.
All right,
there you
thank
go.
you
Yeah,
very much.
floor is yours.
Yes.
I've got just a couple of minutes of comments.
Thank you for coming back. It seems like we see you. This is a proclamation we've been doing every year.
Close to it. I think we've had an intervening election since I was last here, maybe.
Validation.
Yeah. But so I wish to thank the mayor and council members for this proclamation in the city and giving me an opportunity to speak on the important subject of life jackets. I come to you tonight as a 18-year resident of San Ramon and a member of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. The United States Coast Guard Auxiliary is the uniformed civilian volunteer side of the United States Coast Guard. We are civilians who volunteer our time and energy to further the missions of the Coast Guard, with the primary mission being recreational boating safety. We also augment the capabilities of the active duty Coast Guard in all non-military and non-law enforcement missions, such as search and rescue and marine environmental protection. Most members dedicate between 200 to 400 hours per year volunteering in the auxiliary. And the auxiliary is organized into local flotillas, one of which is right here in San Ramon. The fire district officers are kind enough to give us space for our meetings. In my remarks, I'll address National Safe Boating Week, then update you on some of the activities of the San Ramon Valley Flotilla. As mentioned, National Safe Boating Week is a public awareness campaign run by the United States Coast Guard and its boating safety partners to increase the use of life jackets and improve safe boating practices. According to the United States Coast Guard data, most recent of which I have is 2021, California ranks second in the number of boating accidents and third in fatalities in 2021, which is not great. California statistics had been trending downward until 2020. 2020 saw a large increase in the adoption of paddlecraft by the public, such as kayaks and stand-up paddleboards. And this greater number of inexperienced operators on the water has increased the number of accidents and fatalities. California requires an 8-hour boating safety class for power boaters as well as sailors, but no such requirement exists for paddlecraft operators. More, in fact, must be done to increase the level of knowledge and safe boating practices among the paddlecraft public. Chief among those is wearing a life jacket. Life jackets are crucial to survival in cold water, and the waters of the San Francisco Bay Area are cold. Depending upon the season, our lakes, rivers, and bays are between 50 and 60 degrees. For example, in 50-degree water, a person has between 15 to 30 minutes to self-rescue before they will reach swim failure. This happens when the human body, when immersed in cold water, restricts blood flow to the extremities in order to preserve body heat. It's a natural physiological response, which means the arms and legs stop working after 15 to 30 minutes. If someone is not wearing a life jacket at that time or has specialized training, like, for example, we're in the Navy SEALs, they are likely to drown. Therefore, we want the public to always wear a life jacket when on the water. Turning to the activities of the San Ramon Valley Flotilla, the 49 members of the San Ramon Valley Flotilla participate in every mission of the Coast Guard Auxiliary and is ranked in the top 10% of flotillas nationwide in per member productivity. I will mention that the flotilla will have a booth this year again at the Art and Wind Festival, and we encourage people to stop by. We will have our hydrologic cycle diorama operating, a Marlin Spike seamanship station, and one of our helicopters will be conducting a landing, I believe it's on Sunday, that will include tours of the helicopter for the kids. I'll conclude my remarks by saying we are thankful to have the support from the city in advancing the public awareness campaign for National Safe Boating Week and the continued support of the flotilla in executing our recreational boating safety mission in San Ramon. With that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Olson, and thank you to the Coast Guard Auxiliary. Yes, any questions?
No, I just want to thank you for participating in Art Wind Festival and all the other work you do.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Good.
Just thank you and
Thank you.
makes sense.
Thank you, Chief Olson.
We'll
for
see you
all
again
your
next year.
volunteer service. Yeah. Next year.
Okay, moving on, let's go to item. It's a special recognition for Make-A-Wish recipient Niruv Udapa. I hope I pronounced that right. And this is done by Kathy Hyman, Parks and Community Service Director, and Susie Falk. Are you here, the Vice President for Programs for Make-A-Wish Greater Bay Area?
Come on up,
Thank you, Susie.
please. I need to be joined by our impressive young man.
Oh, yeah.
So good evening, Mayor Hudson and City Council. It is my absolute pleasure this evening to introduce Susie Falk, Vice President of Programs for Make-A-Wish Greater Bay Area, and our honoree, Niruv Udapa, author of The Rise of the Wild Cards. I became aware of Niruv's accomplishment when I heard that Make-A-Wish had rented the fountain room. And I was like, what's going on? And they said, oh yeah, Make-A-Wish Foundation has rented the fountain room for a San Ramon resident. And I said, well, I need to know more. And so when I queried, I heard about Niruv's journey and his wish to be an author. And so I immediately had to go, of course, buy his book, which I'm hopeful you'll sign this evening. And I was inspired by his dream and his journey. And so I thought we really needed to recognize that accomplishment here at a city council meeting. So let me hand it off to Susie to talk a little more about Niruv's journey, the Make-A-Wish Foundation, before we present the certificate and have our book signing.
Thank you. Good evening and thank you for having me here. I'm really just thrilled to be part of this recognition tonight. So Make-A-Wish Greater Bay Area grants wishes for kids with critical illness. And Nirav was referred to us in November of 2020. You were 10 years old, I believe, at the time. And he was referred by his medical team shortly after he'd been diagnosed with Burkitt lymphoma. And when we grant a wish for a child, we go through a process. We have an extraordinary network of volunteers, and they met with Nirav and met with his family to help him determine what his wish would be. And they asked him, if you could have anything, go anywhere, meet anyone, what would you want for your wish? And for his wish, he wished to be an author, which to me says something about him, that he went through something as hard as his illness and wanted, with that kind of reward, still wanted to do something hard. He didn't want to go shopping. He didn't want to go to Disney World. He wanted to work really hard to become an author. So we were very excited. We reached out to someone named Dallas Graham, who had an organization called the Red Fred Project. And his organization worked with kids going through really challenging times to write their stories. Most of the kids he worked with were writing their own stories. Nirav had this incredibly creative story that he wanted to write, this work of fiction. And they worked together for about 2 years. All of this while Nirav was, going through treatment, while he was going to school. And he still wrote this book, which is not short. I mean, this is like a full book that he wrote. So they worked together on the story development, the characters, the writing, the editing, the revising, the writing, the revising, right? Lots of revisions, lots of editing, lots of writing. And earlier this year, we were so proud to celebrate the launch of his book. And the room was you visited lots of different sites. He was very specific about where he wanted to launch his book and where he wanted to celebrate. So Make-A-Wish was just thrilled to be a part of it, and can't wait to see the great things he's going to go on to do, the many more books and great accomplishments he's going to have in his life. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here tonight and
Thank
to
you,
celebrate
Susie, for
Nirav.
being here.
This is a certificate of achievement. City of San Ramon congratulates Nirav Udapa for writing and publishing his first book, The Rise of the Wild Cards While Battling Cancer. Here, I'll present that to you. Can you come on up too?
Yeah.
There you go. Let's turn around and we'll get a picture here.
Yeah. While they're taking pictures, I'll ask the question we're all thinking. So what's the next book going to be about?
You have your next story in mind?
Not exactly.
Sorry, what was the question?
Your next book?
My next book,
You're obviously an author.
yeah. So I plan on writing another book in a few years when I'm older and a better writer.
You
Um,
don't have to wait. You're ready.
yeah, thank you guys for having me. I've always wanted to be an author since I was young. At the age of 6, I would write like little comic books for my family members. And so I've always wanted to be an author since I was a kid. And it's been a great experience writing this story. It turned a tough time into a good experience, and I'm glad the way this book came out, and I'm thankful for Make-A-Wish for helping me make this wish come true. And I hope to write more books in the future and be a successful author. And again, it's an honor to be here.
Our honor. And let's be clear, you are an author. Any comments?
Thank you very much and congratulations. Great
Yeah.
job.
We're looking forward to the next book.
Well done.
Congratulations, Nirav.
Thank you.
I got my copy. So I'm looking forward to read it. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, if that, is it okay? Okay. So, first of all, thank you, Make-A-Wish Foundation. My family is both a donor and has been a recipient of your foundation. It's a very important foundation. Secondly, congratulations to you. I'm glad you're healthy and well and on your way to recovery, hopefully. And your book is an inspiration that will carry on for a long time for many children like you who are going through very difficult times. Now, for the parents, my own daughter's a brain cancer survivor, was considered terminally ill. So I know what you're going through, and I commend you as well for your strength and courage. And just thank you so much for being an inspiration. And we're here for you if you ever need anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So. Okay. Thank you, Kathy, Susie. Our next item, we're on to new business, the annual audit report for the city of San Ramon for fiscal year ended June 30th. We're being asked to accept the report from Candace Daniels, Finance Division Manager.
Good evening, Mayor Hudson and members of the council, and welcome back, Mayor Hudson. Glad to see you here. So I'm presenting the annual comprehensive financial report for the year ending June 30th, 2022. So normally I would have been doing this in January, but there were some delays due to some issues with our auditors. So now at last, we finally have the report completed, which you should have with you. So we started the audit process last year in June with the interim audit. Then we move on to October, where we do 2 weeks of the final audit, and then we produce the financial statements. So the auditor's opinion for the city's financial statements is that in all material aspects, they're fairly presented and in conformity with accounting principles, generally accepted in the United States, which means that we had a clean audit. Everything went well. So I'll move on to give you some highlights of the general fund and the reserve balances. So we had revenues that ended, revenues available for expenditures were 2.5 million above the final budget for the following reasons. Our taxes were $1 million above budget, reflecting increases in property taxes, sales tax, property transfer tax. And that was offset by decreases in transient occupancy tax and franchise fees. Licenses and permits were 200,000 above budget, reflecting increases in building permits. Intergovernmental was 4.1 million above budget, and that was due to the receipt of the ARPA funds. That was our last payment of the ARPA funds. Charges for services, excuse me, were 200,000 above budget, reflecting increases in facility rentals and recreation programs and activities. Fines and forfeitures were above by 200,000. Excuse me, below budget by 200,000, which reflected decrease in vehicle code fines. Investment income, we had 500,000 below budget, which was due to unfavorable investments in the market, which of course we have no control over that. Miscellaneous revenue, we had 100,000 above budget, reflecting increases in facility rentals and recreation programs as well. Excuse me. So most of the categories for the general fund expenditures were under budget. And the total under budget amount was 2.6 million, which is reflected in salary and benefits was 1.9 million under budget. Professional services, and that's due to position vacancies. Professional services were 800,000 under budget. Materials and supplies were below budget by 20,000. Excuse me. Travel and training and memberships and dues were $10,000 above budget. And then capital outlay was about 100,000 above budget. So that's what makes up the 2.6 million. So our ending fund balance for the general fund, which was 22.4 million or 41%, was made up of a net decrease of transfers out over transfers in of 7 million. And then we had an available ending fund balance for the Doherty Valley and our general fund combined of the 22.4 million. So that's all I have. Are there any questions about the report?
Any comments or questions of staff, starting with the finance committee again? Chair Armstrong or Vice Chair?
We got this report yesterday and we dug pretty deep into it and with quite a few questions. So I got my questions answered yesterday and I thank you very much for your perseverance, I guess is the right word, on
Right.
getting this finally to us.
Before I go to Marisol and Sridhar, then let me ask the pertinent question. Do we get another plaque?
Well,
yet.
we had to do 4 requests for extensions because the report was late. So has been submitted to GFOA. So now we have to wait for them to review it. So it's going to be a few more months before we know. We probably would have had it by now, normally.
But we are going to get one, is what you're saying.
We should definitely get one.
Mark?
No, thank you. As Councilmember Perkins said, we heard this yesterday. It's hot off the press and thank you for all your work, Candace and your team and just a great job. And yeah, thank you for being persistent and hanging in there, getting the report from the auditors, but good work and a nice looking report.
Thank you.
Marisol?
Yeah, just want to say thank you. It's very well done and clean and understandable. That's always really important when we're dealing with these big budgets. So thank you so much for putting this together.
Thank you.
Sridhar?
Say thanks. Thank you for all your good work, you and your team. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for making us look good.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, let's open it up to public, see if they have any comments or questions. Public comment is open. Do we have any cards to speak or any written?
We have no speaker cards and no hands raised.
Okay, and no one wishing to speak, then we'll close the public comment.
We will accept the report. Do we need a motion?
Yes.
The report?
It says accept the report, so Marisol's going to say move to accept.
Move to accept. Thank you.
Second.
I'll vote eventually, yeah. Okay, thank you, Candace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, it looks like it's a unanimous acceptance of the report. And in point 2, we are on to our second public comment. I got this right?
Landscape and lighting district.
Oh, no, we're lighting and landscaping. Okay. See if I got this right. Thank you. Moving a little too quick here. And this is a report for this.
This one right here, 10.2.
Okay, and this is resolution number 2023-55, approving the landscape and lighting district number 1984-1 Zone 4 is the Vista San Ramon Engineer Report for the assessment increase or ballot proceedings, and this is by John Bell. John, welcome.
Good evening,
So
Mayor
kick
Hudson.
Robin out of here, huh?
No.
Okay.
Robin's still here.
Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor Hudson, fellow
Okay.
council members. My name is John Bell. I'm the landscape program manager. I've taken over for Sean Anderson. So I'm going to do an overview of the property owner ballot assessment for Vista San Ramon Zone 4 and the engineer's report that we're asking for approval. We started this process a little over a year ago with discussions with the Vista San Ramon HOA. They desired some landscape improvements within their zone. We reviewed the reserve fund study and determined that with the current reserve levels and their assessment rates, that those projects could not be completed. With rising utility costs and personnel costs and our contracts, we also determined that the fund would go negative in fiscal year 26-27. The current maximum assessment rate of $180 has been in place, voted on in 1997, and that the annual assessment rate has been charged at the max rate since 2008. So we presented this to the HOA. We also let them know that any changes to the increases to the maximum assessment rate in accordance with Prop 218 would need a vote of the assessed properties and a supporting engineer's report. They were supportive of this process. So for the engineer's report, we did a detailed assessment analysis. We determined that the appropriate annual assessment rate was $385. We're also proposing that this assessment rate is adjusted with inflation annually. So we presented this to the HOA. Again, they were supportive of it. They were comfortable with the number. We presented it on April 24th to the Finance Committee. The recommended feedback we got was to provide as much public outreach as possible. So over the last 2 days, we delivered informational letters to the residents, to the property owners, describing this entire process, giving them the 385 assessment number, and then detailing the next steps in this process. We've set up 2 public information meetings that we're going to host at the San Ramon Community Center on June 5th and June 19th at 6:30 p.m. If the engineer's report is approved, we have the ballot and the notice of a public hearing ready to mail out this week to set a public hearing for June 27th. At that time, the ballots would be tabulated. If approved, the assessment would be increased, filed with the county assessor in August 10th. If it's not approved, then we will have to make some adjustments to our priority levels and maintenance levels in the zone.
Questions, go ahead.
Yeah, have you gotten any feedback based on the information you've passed out over the last few days?
We've received minimal feedback. We have not received any negative feedback. But the minimal feedback we have is positive. The HOA did have a board meeting last night. I checked in to see what the feedback was, and they were pretty confident in moving forward with this.
Okay, good. As I mentioned to you in the Finance Committee, outreach is the key because we've had votes before that failed. And I'm convinced that maybe not all of it, but part of the reason was insufficient communication with the residents as to what impact would happen if we failed to increase their assessment. And while nobody's looking for a increase, and particularly when you say you're going to double it, I should hope that $200 a year is not an additional $200 a year is not out of the reach of most of the families that live in that area.
Sure.
But
Well stated, Scott. Any further comments before we open public comment on it? Thank you, John.
I have a question.
Oh, here he comes, mass man.
So from 180, it's going to 385. So how come like all these years we didn't increment it or we didn't verify the requirement for increase it? How is like suddenly it jumped 100%?
Well, we did an assessment analysis and we took a 30-year period. We inventoried all the amenities within the zone, all the landscaping within the zone. We assigned useful lives remaining life to it, replacement costs. And we took an extended deferred maintenance look at everything that was in the zone to make sure that an assessment could meet a long-term servicing of the zone rather than raising it $20 and then we'll be back in the same position in a few years.
But
Yeah.
in doing this, the fund wasn't going to go negative until what, 2025? They were still going to have a positive balance until 2025. So generally speaking, you don't ask for a raise 4, 5, 6 years in advance of going negative. You do it 1 or 2 years in advance of going negative.
Yeah, that's good, but how we can avoid like doubling something? It's,
Well,
should we
this
do
is looking
assessment
30 years
much
into the
more?
future.
Yeah, so,
And all of the plant replacements and other infrastructure replacement that goes with it.
Yeah, so we created a new reserve fund study to go along with the engineer's report. And we presented that information that shows the useful life and the replacement costs over a 30-year period to
okay,
justify the increase that would make it the zone solvent over a period of time.
Yeah, I think there's a piece of the question that you may be misunderstanding here. Would the assessment immediately go to 385, or would that be the maximum allowable? Which is it?
That's a maximum allowable.
Okay, but the actual assessment might only go to 200 or 210 in the near term. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. And I think there's maybe a couple points to that question. One is why this much? It is just the analysis that John was referring to. But the inflation alone, since this maximum was set, would bring the number to well over $300. So it's mostly an inflationary catch-up. In terms of assessing it, we do anticipate that we would assess this rate immediately. And that is because the large amount of deferred maintenance that is.
You
built
would
up.
assess it at the 385?
Yes,
Oh,
correct.
okay. I misunderstood earlier that I thought that the 385 was the maximum, but you would only assess at some intermediate rate in the near term.
Yes, we anticipate assessing at the maximum and then the maximum will adjust with inflation.
Okay.
so,
Okay,
okay, so how we can avoid something like that? Do we need to do more frequent assessments? Or,
Well, the difficulty, of course, with this process is we're restricted by Proposition 218 in what we can do. So it is very difficult. We have to go out through this difficult process. So we don't do it very often. And we wait until the reserves are in a relatively critical state because people tend not to want to support measures when there's a large amount of money in the bank.
okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because if I remember right, recently in policy committee meeting, we did address the ferry up reserve with the inflation rate rather than with the
Correct.
2% regular rate, right? So can we impose something like that? Because if we increase like
Correct,
twice, the residents will definitely.
This ballot measure seeks approval of the new amount and an inflationary increase.
Increase, okay.
And that's the
So
problem
that-
with many of the zones do not include an inflationary clause. And so once you reach the limit, you stay at the limit and you can only change it with a ballot 218. And it costs you tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars to do a ballot. All the elements of putting together a ballot.
Okay, so at least in going forward, we don't face this kind of situation where we have to double it.
This zone.
That's my understanding with the inflation. Okay.
Unfortunately, we're probably.
We've got what, 4 or 5 zones that have inflation built into them, right? 3 or 4?
Correct. Yeah.
This would be.
Yeah, we only have out of the 19 zones, we only have half a dozen at most that have inflation in the language.
And unfortunately, most of that inflation is capped at 2%.
Yep.
So we
That's
don't even
not-
keep up to that.
that's not gonna get it.
Yeah, it's just because a lot of residents, especially the residents who are on fixed income, they can have big impact, even though it is like 200, whatever, but it can be big impact for them. So we need to be a little bit sensitive about that. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions before we open the public comment?
I did actually have one quick
Go ahead, Bob.
amendment to make. As the engineer, I found my own error in here. Actually, Maria caught some of this too. There's a round off error in this engineer's report that I would like to adjust prior to your approval. That is on page 14, which is page 278 of your agenda.
Okay, and what is the error?
The correct number where it says the amount to be assessed in the first year, the correct number is $61,985.
Okay.
And that is the same for the total assessment lower down in the page.
Okay,
That's where public comment.
okay, let's open up the public comment. Do we have any cards? Or anyone ready to push star 9? If you would have a seat for a minute, John, she's.
We have one speaker card from Taiwansa Country.
Mayor, City Council members. So first of all, I read the audit booklet. It was extremely professional. And also actually,
This is
This is
your
lighting and landscape.
This is lighting and
exactly,
landscaping
I know,
district. This
because
is not,
this is
we
audited.
are on landscaping and lighting district, not
If
the
you,
audit.
if you read the report, it was audited by the same accountant, yeah?
This topic is the approval of landscape and lighting district number 1984-1, zone 4,
Yeah.
engineers report. This is not
Not the audit
audit.
report.
This
Nothing
is
to
not
do
the
with it.
audit.
I'm-
This has
what-
nothing to do with the audit.
I'm saying that this report is generated after an audit.
It has nothing to do with the audit. They are completely independent and
Yeah.
separate activities.
Okay, let's skip that. What I'm trying to express is that I have faith in their opinion because of what I had read yesterday at the Finance Committee. In addition, I have extremely high regard for the characters of Mr. Bartlett. Mr. Bartlett is a very conservative person. I have talked with him regarding DV-GAD in the past, and I am a difficult person. I
No.
grill people, I ask questions, and he's able to answer me honestly without avoiding my questions. And when I have more questions, he's always willing to bring me literally documents. He's not just giving me opinions, he literally gives me documents and show me regarding DV-GAD, which is a very puzzling way of doing municipal business because I've never seen that before in my entire life, except here in San Ramon. So as a taxpayer, who wants to pay more taxes and assessment? But since this is a public hearing, I ask this city council to please indulge their opinion, open it up for public hearing, so then you will hear what the taxpayers have to say instead of coming from our opinions, our, biases. I mean, we all live in an extremely inflated world since 2021 because of Biden, administration. So we really need to be realistic. On top of that, I'm going a little bit off the topic, but we should also look at the decrease
Stay on the
of gas
topic.
taxes as well. That is going to impact us down the road.
Stay on the
So
topic of the
please
landscape. and lighting
indulge
district.
them, give them the permission to open up a public hearing
Can you
and hear them
disrespect the
from
council
the
by
taxpayers.
getting off topic? Stay
I'm
on
not,
topic.
I'm now staying on topic.
Stay on topic.
I
of the
am.
Landscape and lighting.
I am.
district.
I know you have biases against me, but you know what? You're forgiven. Thank you.
Okay, is there anyone else who wishes to speak? This is about resolution 2023-55. And we will be levying an assessment and set a public hearing for June 27th. Anyone else wishing to speak? Do we have any other cards?
We have no speaker cards and there are no hands raised.
Okay, then we will close the public comment. Any comments or further comments or questions from the council?
I just continue to encourage public engagement with the people there. Encourage them to participate in the two public meetings you have, and hopefully on the 27th, we'll have a positive vote.
And you said earlier, it's their money. Yeah, is that a motion?
No, I'll move the resolution. Up.
Radar beat you to it.
The report as amended.
And with the report as amended. There we go. Okay.
Thank you, Sridhar. Okay, everybody got their vote in. Vote is ended. Looks like it's pretty unanimous. We approved the resolution. Okay, and I would add those were the right comments. You need to stay engaged in this. This is going to be your money even after you pay it to be spent in your zone. I have that right? Yep. Okay, then I will ask if there are any further, well, there's no further comments about the presentation. What am I?
10.3.
10.3, where are we?
Next page.
Okay, thank you, Scott. And this is resolution number 2023-56, authorizing the creation of a 2023 storm damage repair project, CIP. Is that
1 in 1,000.
10001 with authorized project budget of 1,290,000.
Stop there.
And I'll stop there and go ahead, Shane. See all these people, one name, but the important people. Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, good evening, Mayor Hudson, good to see you, council members and everyone. I'm here to present the staff report and recommending the authorization of creation of the 2023 storm damage repair project with an authorized project budget of $1,290,000. So as we all know, the winter storms during the winter 2022 to 2023 had created overflowing in some areas and a lot of damage to our city of San Ramon. That includes landslides, erosion in the creeks, and debris flows, and a lot of emergency situations. So staff had identified multiple projects that would fit the our criteria of applying for FEMA/Cal OES funding for the repair of these damages. So one of the project is for Norris Creek. Actually, for the 3 years during from 2019 to 2021, we had cleaned up the sediment from Territon Avenue down to Broadmoor Avenue. It's a very long stretch. We had done the sediment removal for in the span of 3 construction seasons. And then so one of the road culverts that you see here, that's right after the cleaning of the sediment back in 2020. That was in Devona Avenue. It's a double concrete culvert. Depth it was about 5 feet. The width is 6 feet on one side. And so after the storm, all of our work done in 3 years were erased. Just a whole thing covered by a sediment again. So I wish I had a better shot on the right side, but it's after the storm. You can see the sediment is almost all the way to the top. We have about 1 foot of space there. So we actually felt really lucky that we did the work for those 3 years, or there could be some really large damage. But it is necessary that we really need to get back and start doing the work again this year. So it's another shot from Norris Creek. So from the graffiti, you can see that that's exactly the same location, same shot. So after the cleaning, the bottom width of the creek is 10 feet, and now it's a lot wider than that because it's actually just covered with sediment. And so we still have some flow there on the day of the photo, but you can see the sediment is actually all the way to the top. So also we looked at Coyote Creek. That is the creek upstream of South San Ramon Creek that goes from Alcosta Boulevard down to Montevideo Park. So this reach down from Veracruz Drive. We have multiple sites of erosion on both banks, and also some erosion on the concrete structure as shown on the photo at the middle. Going down the St. Reach, South San Ramon Creek, we also have access roads on both sides. And in particular, this photo on the left side, it's there has some critical infrastructure down below the creek by Central Sand and also DSRSD. And so if we let the erosion to keep going, then it might jeopardize some of their pipelines. The photo on the middle, it's erosion on the access road on the residence site. So it could continue to erosion the road and slowly take out that access road. And also same thing could happen on the other side of the creek. We also found that there are multiple water quality control pond. And we show the photo here, and I show this graphic here to show where the pipe risers used to be. These risers have multiple punch holes. They can keep stormwater from leaving the water quality control ponds too fast, and to provide water quality and habitat values. And the photo that was shown on the left side, the riser is just totally gone. It's probably just buried in that the vegetation there. And the other one on the right side, it's the big pond that's at the intersection, just right on the cross street from the Safeway on Doherty Road. If you drive by there, you could see the riser pipe just leaning, and then so we need to get those fixed. So we have 3 total risers that we need to be repaired. So we had come up with preliminary estimates for these costs, and we submitted these costs to FEMA for their review. So we're still in the process of inviting them to come to our city for site inspection and to decide whether they can reimburse for these costs. But for Norris Creek sediment removal, we estimated for $727,000. For the Coyote Creek and South San Ramon Creek repairs, $488,000, and plus $75,000 for the water quality control pond riser repairs. So that adds up to $1,290,000. So usually these facilities, we do routine maintenance and repair with our normal citywide drainage facility repair project. But because we have this emergency situation that we need to get the funding going, it usually needs to be done in 18 months of time since the declaration of the disaster. We could apply for extension to finish these projects, but we usually need to show good faith effort to finish them. And also some of these projects are really urgent, such as the Norris Creek sediment removal projects. So we are going to use use up all the creek mitigation fund and drainage mitigation funds. And also staff has identified $170,900 from the infrastructure maintenance fund for this purpose. And so for the rest of that, we will want to appropriate $1,017,560 from the general fund reserve. And so just important fact to know is the reimbursement amount from FEMA and Cal OES, if they are determined to be eligible for reimbursement, that's up to 93.75% of all that cost. And if we get all the FEMA funding, we are prioritizing to reimburse to the general fund reserve. And if we still have leftover, and then we'll take turn reimburse the other funds.
Thank you, Shane. Any comments or questions to staff? Or I'll go ahead.
Really quick comment. It's good to see that we could have up to 93.75% of this covered. What's your kind of level of confidence that that will happen?
Yeah, we're reasonably optimistic. We're still in the process of talking to FEMA. We're working with them really closely. For from our prior experience, we actually applied for similar funds back in 2017. And so we, at least half of that, we're very confident we're going to get back. And for the rest of that, we're still to be determined, but we're optimistic.
Yeah, I'll just say from my perspective, having, worked for FEMA, that's 75-25 split. So feds pick up 75%, state picks up 25%. And then of that state 25%, they'll further divide that 75-25, where the state picks up 75% of that 25, and the local picks up the 25%. That's how you get to that 93.75. But I have seen, just my experience, there have been times when the state didn't do the cost share down to the locals. They went ahead and did the federal 75-25 split, but they didn't help out the locals. I'm not saying that's going to happen this time, but yeah, keep watching it.
Yeah.
Stay in close contact. And I think in this case, it's going to work out okay, but there is precedent. I'll just say that.
Yep.
I have,
Sridhar, go ahead.
so, thanks, Shen. My question is regarding the assessment. How did we come with these assessments? Do you have any model or?
Yeah, so for Norris Creek, part of that, it was 2020 open bidding, and we had a package, we have the cost. And then we use that as a baseline and apply that to the other reaches. And then and also this time we need to ship all that sediment out to a source that we can report back to FEMA. Previously we just stockpiled it, so a lot of the costs will be slightly higher than the previous ones, but we have some baseline that we could use. And for the creek and for water quality control pond, it's just based on a typical project that uses the same judgment, and then just come up with a cost. So we just come with a construction cost, and then we use a percentage to estimate for the design, for mitigation, for permitting and contingency.
Okay, so whatever the assessment, you think based on our previous experience or any other municipal experiences, it's pretty good assessment, you think?
Yeah.
Okay. So how about you mentioned Norris Creek is our top priority, is that right?
Yes.
So do we have, how about the others? How we want to address that as a priority wise? Do we have the priority, like this is first thing, second thing, third, like what we want to do, all that pieces?
Well, we actually think all of these projects are necessary. But if we need to wait, then some of these creek, like South San Ramon Creek repair projects, we could potentially reroute the access road toward the other direction to be away from the creek. That could buy us some time, save some cost, and maybe we could use that and to create some mitigation locations for the permitting purposes. So that could be some cost saving there if necessary. But if we get all the funding from FEMA, we would like to do everything.
Everything, okay. And when we do this, are we confident that in future when we get similar issues, it can be much better than what we went through this time?
Well, we see damage from time to time. Erosion is a slow process. It happens, but we don't see the same magnitude in our creeks before this season, just simply because the storm is a lot more often and the magnitude is just way larger than what we have seen in the past.
Yeah, so the reason why I'm asking is, especially if you see our GAD, right? We end up spending like $5+ billion, and then we don't have any guarantee that it will repeat. This is a huge amount for us, right? So I want to make sure. I know in this case, if 93.7, if FEMA pays, then we'll be paying $81,000 from our pocket, from the city pocket. But still, if everything goes right? So otherwise, these are huge amounts that we'll be paying. I just want to see how we can avoid this from happening in future.
It's really hard to make these things bulletproof. It becomes increasingly expensive. In fact, it gets exponentially expensive to make something bulletproof that you can withstand the 1,000-year flood as opposed to the 100-year flood. So prudent engineering says you go to a certain level of design. And we do that for earthquakes. We do that for floods. We do that for a lot of things. But there was a 9.1 earthquake up in Alaska in the 1960s, and we don't design to a 9.1 earthquake here. We design to about a 7.0 or 7.2 or 3 earthquake, recognizing that you could design to a 9.0. But it becomes extraordinarily expensive. And so at some point you say, we're going to build to this level. And if we have damage, we'll repair the damage. I'd love to be able to make everything we've got bulletproof, and all the creeks are 50% bigger and all the culverts are 50% bigger and on and on and on. But I don't know how you afford that.
And to all the environmentalists listening, that's Scott Perkins in the mail.
Well, and when you go to the developer who builds
Yeah.
some of these detention ponds, they won't build to that 1,000-year. There is standards at which, and some of it's in our general plan, some of it's in California code and things like that, at which you build to certain standards. And to build the more is not prudent.
A standard, a project that when approved, it typically will bring it back to pre-disaster conditions.
Yeah.
Right. So you're not really building in strengthening or mitigation. However, you can apply, there's ways to apply for, there's called 406 mitigation. There's other types of mitigation. And hopefully we're exploring that to be able to take a particular project and then enhance it a little bit to try to either lessen the effects of that damage or prevent it in the future in that same location.
Before we open public comment, I'd just like to say, that, we're talking about the winter storms. I mean, let's not forget. Did anybody see the water when it overflowed onto Alcosta on South San Ramon?
Oh, yeah.
Is there any doubt the damage is there? Forget the cost for a minute, which we can't, but the damage we're talking about is real, it's there. It's not going to get better in the next several weeks unless the sun comes out in there, who knows? This could go on till June.
So that's the reason, right? You see, all our residents, they went through the pain. If we are going to put it back the same, and we are okay, wait, let's see what happens, then again we'll be back into the same situation. So as Council Member Armstrong mentioned, we need to see how we can enhance that so that we don't get into this situation.
Thank you, Shane.
Yeah, I thought I might just add a little bit of perspective. Before Shane's arrival, I was dealing with a similar project down on South San Ramon Creek, which grew out of the 2002 storm. And much of the damage is somewhat similar in different areas, but nonetheless similar damage. And so building in that resiliency is really quite difficult. Because we're dealing with a flood control channel that was designed in the 60s. It was designed very efficiently, but it was designed as an earth and flood control channel.
Yeah.
And so improving that and strengthening it with things like riprap or concrete or other such devices would be very effective, but you would never get it permitted past a regulatory agency these days. So finding schemes where you can cost effectively strengthen an existing infrastructure like that is really tremendously challenging. If you have space, you can build resiliency other ways by doing things like having detention basins and things like that to reduce the flood. And that's really where the strategy lies these days, in trying to reduce the flood in the first place. And it's very difficult and will be very challenging and very expensive. And as we get forced to do things like green infrastructure, that will reduce the floods, but it's a very long-term project. So unfortunately, to kind of address your question, some of this will recur again.
Yeah.
It's happened
not-
before,
it's
it will
not
happen
easy.
again.
I'm sure it's not easy. It is definitely challenging. That's why we just want to see how our residents don't have to go through the same pain again and again, and then come back and we say that, yeah, it happened, but then it is not cost effective. That's why we didn't take it permanent, or at least we should educate our residents that, hey, if this happens, then what measures they can take so that they can at least, be safe.
And
They should feel
exactly.
safe when these
Yes.
things happen,
The
right?
safety needs to be a priority, and we need to recognize that this is a perpetual maintenance issue.
Yeah, well, yeah, we need to continue to continuously educate them and see how best they can protect their what are their property, right? So yeah, understand the challenges. Thanks.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Robin. Okay, we're going to open public comment. We have any cards?
There are no hands raised. We have one public card for Taiwan's the country.
So first of all, Mr. Shea, thank you so much for your report. I really appreciate today your staff report clearly has your name on it. And so then, everything is very clear. And also, I want to thank Mr. Bartlett for clarifying what I have understood about DV-GAD, which you were prohibited to answer my question last time. So then this time I can comment a little bit more wisely and accurately. So in your presentation, a lot of the pictures I saw literally is in the neck of my woods. My neighborhood is in the neck of the woods of my neighborhood. And that area literally is like a marsh. And anything with water damage is not so much just that day that you experience the damage. It is eternal if you don't fix it, because wherever there's water, there is growth. What grows? Bacteria, virus, molds. Who wants to put up with that? And I want to share with you what I saw in Vacaville. That area is adjacent to Martinez, which is kind of marshy in their soil structure. They not only suffered flooding, because I saw with my own eyes, the water flow down where it should not have any water, down the slope through what looks like forests, just trees, onto a stretch of residential pavement. That pavement was on a slope, it literally collapsed. If you go these days on 80, you will see them that they're still fixing it. When it comes to quality of life, maintenance is inevitable. You cannot avoid it. I drive cars that I regularly maintain. I rather pay to maintain cars than to pay when I am in a car accident. I would be very happy, even if FEMA doesn't pay for it, that this money comes out of DV-GAD. Why? Because this is in Doherty Valley. If we don't take care of our neighborhoods, it will down the road affect our property value, increase burden on other districts having to help us, repair any destructions or damages. So I am for this resolution. I just ask Mr. Shea and Mr. Bartlett to please, keep your figures on a timely basis in terms of communication. So we are aware how much we can, get reimbursement, how much we, cannot, and just go from there. But I really would like to have this, intervened and mitigated. Otherwise, even if you don't do anything and there's no flooding, no raining, you will see little flies coming out of that area. You will start to, smell and different things. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, are there any other cards people wishing to speak?
There are no other
Okay,
speakers.
we close the public comment that matters before the council. Any comments or questions, or
I'll move the resolution.
do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Wait.
All second.
Oop, ooh.
Okay, gotta be quick down there, Marisol.
Now you get to vote.
It looks like it's unanimous to approve the resolution.
Okay, right.
Let's just hope there's no more damage the rest of the year.
Shane. Thank you, Robin.
Okay. All right, moving right along here. We're on to, where to go, 10.4. 10.4, this is consideration and direction of staff regarding filling the pending vacancy on the planning commission. And we have the acting city clerk has given the report.
Good evening, Mayor Hudson and council members. So tonight we're looking for direction from the council to fill a pending vacancy on the planning commission. On April 17th, the clerk's office was notified that Corey Edwards would be resigning from the commission effective May 17th. So there is still 2 years left on her term, which is set to expire in June of 2025. On April 5th, the council interviewed applicants to fill the vacancy left by Rick Marks' resignation. The clerk's office currently has 8 active applications on file, and the audio recordings are available if you'd like them for review. The clerk's office is also currently soliciting for new applications for a current member whose term is set to expire on June 30th. Tonight, staff is looking for direction from council regarding the process to fill the pending vacancy created by Corey Edwards' resignation, or appoint one of the 8 applicants who recently interviewed, filling the vacancy immediately, or include the vacancy within the current recruitment along with the position to remain unfilled until July 1st. We're just looking for some type of direction.
Okay, comments or questions of staff or the feelings of the council? Go ahead.
I
Mark.
don't have any questions. I'm ready to go into comments.
Go ahead.
Well, I really, I thought we had at least one, if not more, qualified applicants at the interviews we did on April 5th. And I found one in particular that I thought was, came in a strong second place to the one we did appoint. And I would be more than willing to appoint that person to fill the 2-year vacancy that's created by Corey's resignation.
Out of the Sridhar, your opinion?
Just want to check with Martin on this. Do we have any issue if we go back to the interview and
there is no requirement to go back and conduct interviews. It's certainly within the council's discretion to do so, but the council may take any of 3 actions, either to appoint someone this evening or to put it off until it's the next round of interviews have come up, or to just give direction to staff to bring this item back to a future council meeting for further consideration of the candidates that you already have.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Martin.
And I would just tell you, I'm pretty much wide open on, I wasn't here, but I mean, I've been through these more than one.
Yeah.
And I know that when you get opinions that are pretty strong, not just you, people in general. And we're talking about a temporary, but my biggest concern.
2 year,
2 year.
2 year, right?
My biggest 2 year, I'm sorry, bad choice of words. Concern is that you did go out, you did send out that there's an opening.
Well,
But go ahead.
Yeah, there's one open for
there's a renewal
vacancy,
or a
Gene Kuznick.
there's a scheduled term or end of term.
Yeah.
The Gene Kuznick's position expires June 30th. And so you've already put that out to people for applying.
That is correct. As of today, we've received 1 application.
Okay.
And it's May 14th is the deadline for that, midnight.
That is correct.
Okay. And we would then interview that group, whatever it is, sometime in either late May or early June to appoint to fill that position. I happen to know that Jean will reapply. I don't know if she's the applicant you have. Well, she's the applicant you have. And I've spoken with her and she's planning on reapplying, and she has applied for renewal in her position. And it's entirely possible that others would see that and say, oh, she's going to reapply. Why am I going to interview for a position when an incumbent's going to reapply? So
Well, if
it's
there's no
entirely
more-
possible that the interview pool will be smaller than it might otherwise be.
Yeah, so if we have, if we can choose, then I would definitely go with Council Member Perkins' option that we should,
Well,
we
I
could go
would
with the
just ask that
second
we
choice.
allow the public comment
Yeah,
first.
yeah, sure.
Okay,
All right, and let Marisol speak, of course.
well, yes, she can say.
Thank you. So I mean, I think I'm kind of open to both options. I think, but on one end, I mean, part of me is also thinking like we do have to kind of to be consistent. It is important to allow new people to apply if they are interested, even if it is one. But I think it's helpful, to look back at the people we have considered as well recently. To kind
Yeah,
of,
it was only 34 days ago that we
Yeah,
interviewed.
exactly. So,
It's not
yeah.
like months and months have passed.
I've got some things to say. I want
Go
to
ahead,
hear what
Mark.
the public has to say.
Yeah,
about it.
well, the public comment is open, so we have any cards?
We've received one speaker card from Taiwan's country.
Mr. or Councilmember Perkins, I love it whenever you smile when they say my name. I am Taiwan's a country.
You're also Helen Cherney, we know that.
No, I'm not.
Yes,
I'm
you are.
Taiwan's a country.
Taiwan's
In
a
any
country
case,
phony.
it's actually amazing. I agree with you on this issue because I sat through 3 hours, aggravating hours with you guys. And that day you guys appointed someone that Councilmember Vuros and Councilmember Rubio really, really liked. And Vice Mayor Armstrong went with them, which was fine.
It was a 4-0 vote, by the way.
Keep going.
Okay, which was fine, but I know that this particular person that you have in mind is actually the strongest candidate that day. Not only was he a major in communication, he has a lot of special expertise that we desperately need on the Planning Commission, which involves utilities. The reason why, as a taxpayer and as a future home buyer, I'm interested to have this person to sit on the board is because our legislators is trashing existing laws, putting in new laws. Nobody really knows what that ramifications is going to be down the road. We really need someone who can, give their perspective, and that is diversity. We desperately need this person's diversity. Not only that, this particular interview just took place less than a month ago. So I can still remember the faces of those people that I have sat through. So as a taxpayer, to please spare the 2 ladies sitting over there, another grueling 2-3 hours of interviews, I would really much prefer that you just appoint. However, with respect to Mayor Hudson, I would totally respect your final decision because you are our leader. You deserve to know whom we had seen and heard. So if you prefer to open up another interview, I would be more than happy to sit through it. And again, I already, said I'm so happy to see you tonight earlier at the 4 o'clock meeting, and I was late, so I didn't have a chance to say that I'm really happy to see you here. So hopefully you can, put us on the straight path on what to do on this matter, but that is my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other cards or star 9s or?
There are no other speakers.
Okay, we'll close the public comment. I would just say, yeah, I was not there, but that we are talking about a 2-year term, and I've been through enough of these that I have the utmost respect for fellow council members. And what we're talking about is they went through it and one ready to press it, plus the one that is the full term Gene stuff anybody can apply for. Right. So I mean, I'm willing to go either way on it.
We just met this gentleman. In fact, Mark appointed him almost to the Planning Commission at the last meeting. Mr. Dave Curtis was here.
So you're telling me don't miss a meeting?
Yeah, well, if Mark introduced him, didn't you, to give the pledge, and he introduced him as a planning commissioner, when in fact, he was just a member of the Government 101 graduating class. And so I would like to move that we appoint.
I'd like to make some comments.
Oh, please, well,
Go
you can
ahead.
still comment after the motion, you know that.
Okay, make your motion.
I move that we appoint Dave Curtis to fill the remainder of Corey Edwards' position.
I second.
Okay, and now you can comment.
Well, my comment was going to be, I respect the fact that you weren't there, Mayor Hudson, but we're going to have an interview anyway.
Yes.
Coming up. For the one vacancy that's already been announced for Gene Kuznick's reappointment or whoever else applies. We do have 8 applicants and there were some good ones in there. And I know I agree with you that we had a couple of really good qualified candidates. But what I was going to propose, and this is not an alternate motion right now, I'm just in discussion, but I was going to propose that we basically have an interview essentially immediately after the closing of the application period. We find an agreeable date, hold interview for all the candidates who apply, and consider by application only those who had previously applied. Because even having this discussion tonight, there may be some people out there that are not aware of Corey Edwards' resignation letter and may want to still put in an application.
Those people had the opportunity to apply for Rick Marks' thing.
I understand, but if we're talking about selecting 2 people instead of 1, that may open up some other people to apply. But in any case,
I actually
would say
agree with
even if
that.
we
Yeah.
had a meeting almost immediately to consider any and all applicants, whether by just by their application or whether in-person interviews, if we haven't previously seen them, then I would say we could select 2 people at that time.
Yeah.
One person would start immediately, and then the second person would start at the time that would normally, on 1 July, when Gene would normally start that, or that term would begin for Gene. I just think, having openness and transparency about the process is important, giving everyone the opportunities. I mean, I know who we're talking about, and
I have interviewed him. It's not this one.
So when is the last day for closing the application?
I believe it closes on Sunday, I'm sorry, let me pull up a calendar here. The 14th at midnight. And then if you were to choose someone this evening, and as of the 14th at midnight, when the application period closes, if Jean is the only one who has applied, then you would not need to re-interview if you chose to appoint by application or reappoint her. Or you can, as you said, we can close and then you can hold an interview for the additional candidates in addition to Jean for 2 spots.
But
So you
is
would
it,
re-interview.
do we need to publish again that we have 2 positions instead of 1 position?
No, you do
I don't
not
think
have, I'm sorry. You do not have to publish again. At this point, it's already well known that there's a vacancy on the commission.
Okay, so this position plus Gene's position, we are talking about there will be 2 positions.
Correct.
One that's available on the 18th of May, and the other one's available on the 1st of July.
But it's also
A 2-year.
2 years.
A 2-year, well, it's 2 years plus a month and a 4-year.
Yeah, so did we already publish that we have 2 positions open?
No.
That's.
no.
And
We
don't need to
just
do that.
found out of Corey's
Well,
resignation. She's
about a week
moving.
ago.
We just found out.
But can we put it out an announcement for the 2 open spots? So that
I-
we have an interview process for the 2 open spots in one meeting?
I can extend recruitment. We could do that.
Because if we don't do it, we just pretty much defeat the purpose of.
Yeah, well, I
doing
guess I can
interviews, right?
extend it or I can republish the information saying now there's 2 positions available.
You know, we had
Whatever
a,
the council.
we had a real challenge to get the 5 of us together for city manager interviews. I would suggest that between planned vacations and things that it becomes remarkably difficult to get the 5 of us together between now and the end of May.
Through the
You're gonna be
mayor,
gone-
if I could raise one other point
Go
too,
ahead.
and that is that if you do decide to put this off until you get a second pool, that you would have to go with that second pool. And if some of these people do not reapply, then they would be not available to you at this point
Oh,
for that other vacancy.
so we can only notify them, right? Because they send out a notice of notification that there's an opening again to the people who have applied. But if they don't reapply, then
Then
None of these people have applied for the vacancy that'll be open in July. So the 8 or 9 people that are on this list, none of them have applied for that vacancy.
correct. Right now you have a list with, I don't know how many people, 8 or 9
Yep.
people on it that have presumably been ranked in some fashion. And you may be left with a list of 1 if you put that off.
has anybody checked in with him, the proposed candidate, and to see if he's still interested?
It was only 34 days ago. I would.
Well, something can come
Maybe.
up in his life, so
I
I'm just saying.
understand. We can still appoint, and if he refuses, then he says, then we're kind of back to where we are right now. The planning commission has important meetings coming up, including the general plan amendment and zoning ordinance. They've got a lot of work. I wouldn't want to delay any further.
Well, I just wish we knew at this point if all 8 applicants were still interested in being considered for this new vacancy.
Have they been sent a notice, Joan?
No.
They have not.
I think we need to do
We-
that.
We do hold their application. We let them know we hold their applications on file for 6 months.
Yeah.
No, but we need to let them know that we have an opening right now. I kind of agree with Vice Mayor Armstrong on this personally.
So just to add a procedural wrinkle to this, we have a motion and we have a suggestion, but not really a formal alternative motion. If you wish to make that an alternative motion, you can do so. And if that is the case, then the vote would be to substitute Councilmember Armstrong's motion for Councilmember Perkins' motion. So so if it is to be formalized into a motion, then you could do so now.
And if I did so, and that motion was defeated, then we would continue on with
Yes.
the previous motion.
Then we would consider the first motion.
Well, I'm not sure how to structure the motion, but
Can you give us some wording here?
alternate motion or
Substitute motion.
substitute motion to
Sure.
have a meeting after the closure of the May 14th application period and consider 2 applicants for 2 positions, or I'm sorry, all applicants, the ones who had previously applied that we have record on file, and then any new applicants, and we consider 2, we choose 2 people at that time and try to get that scheduled as soon as possible after the closure date, with 1 term to begin immediately after that interview process and 1 term to begin on 1 July 2023.
I'll second that.
A little complicated.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Where are the motion and the second? Or we've already
We gonna
done
do this
one?
electric? Okay, there you go.
No, which is-
Well,
Substitute motion is
my
first.
substitute motion, if that gets defeated, then we go into the next one.
Okay, there's no electronic on this?
Yes, there is.
Oh, there is?
Defeated. Okay.
All right, now, we have a
We have a motion on the floor, and that is to appoint
Dave Curtis
to
to
the,
fill the remainder of Corey Edwards' term to expire in twenty
Excuse
twenty-five.
me, and not to get too wrapped up in procedure, but we don't have a second.
we had a
Yes, we did.
second from
Yes, we did.
Sridhar.
Oh, we did get a second from Steve? I
Yes.
apologize.
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully he didn't change his mind.
We just need to. Okay, there's mine. Sridhar. And it passes
And that is approved
5-0.
5-0. And I would tell you that was a tough one on the substitute because theoretically, I agree with you, but frankly, I'm the one that's responsible with not being there for the deciding one. So, I mean, I don't want to drag this thing out either.
No.
And I think there's an opportunity to get somebody in there that met everybody's expectations and, you know, if you want to apply for a 4-year term later, you can do that too. So.
Yep. Okay.
I think it's going to have a heck of a learning curve, so. But you know,
But one of
if
the
it wasn't
challenges-
fun, none of us would do it, right?
One of the challenges is we're gonna have 2 new members on the planning commission. And we all know how hard that job is. And some of us know it better than others, having served on it.
No, it was fun.
It was fun, yeah,
Just defer everything to Debbie.
but
Okay,
having
we're,
2 new members on the planning commission could be a challenge. Having potentially 3 new members would be a real challenge, right, Debbie? Yes.
this is our favorite part of our interim city managers report.
All right, thank you, Mayor. I'll keep it brief tonight because we're going at a good clip. I don't want to delay anything any longer for you tonight. Just 2 very short updates. One, last Saturday, we had our Street Smarts bike rodeo at Iron Horse Middle School. We had one in the fall and now we had another one in the spring. I guess we're in spring right now. We're planning on having it every spring from here on out. Next year it will be in Danville at a site to be determined, but we had 130 attendees, so we had some pretty good turnout, even though it was a very rainy day at certain points. And then the only other item, and you heard tonight from one of our special presentations, we do have the Art and Wind Festival coming up May 28th and 29th, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. at Central Park. And I, for one, will be looking forward to the helicopter landing. That's always a bit of fun, and I think it's been a few years since we've had that. I can't recall when the last time, was it last year, Kathy, that we had it? Yeah, but I know there was a point when we had
wanna know.
it. Yeah.
Can we have one of our police drones out there? Say it's
Ooh.
cheap, yeah.
I'm
Can we have
sure we can.
sunshine too?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have the police drone and I will guarantee you, Mayor, some sunshine.
Okay.
As much as I can. So with that, that's my update for
Okay,
this evening.
we have any public comment on this item?
We do. We have
Public comments open?
a speaker card from Taiwan's country.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, this
What-
is, we'll,
This-
let's finish up with the city council members.
Okay.
Part of this.
Oh.
Then we'll open up general public
Okay.
comment.
okay, who wants to go first on the council comments?
Okay, I'll start.
Because I have to give one.
Okay, so I will just basically we had an infrastructure meeting on April 27th. And we're basically addressed a 5-year pavement management plan, specifically kind of talking about trying to maintain a target PCI, which is basically the assessing like the status of our sidewalks and pavement and how it's doing. It's there's like a numeric value between up to 100 and it's at 75. Currently, the city overall is at 78. And the reason they were recommending that is because preventative maintenance is always better than having to less expensive than waiting until the problem gets really bad. So we're trying to our staff is doing a great job of trying to stay in front of really big problems. And then we also had, we talked about the tree management at Doherty Valley and just kind of some of the cleanup, especially like after the river storms that we had, really there were a lot of fallen trees around there and just kind of really the cleanup and things that will be required to manage that after the fact. Some of the trees actually will not be replaced. They're kind of rethinking that maybe we had too many there to begin with. So it won't be a full renovation. And then we talked about the infrastructure maintenance fund. Maria, who you saw the presentation from today, it was a more detailed presentation of what you saw today. And then on 4/28, I met with the Cub Scouts Pack 997 at Live Oak Elementary. I received a lot of questions about traffic management. These young girls were so observant of what adults are doing. That's all I'm going to say. And I promised them that I was going to relay to our interim city manager their concerns because they are very smart and very observant and they made some really good points. So, and then I'm going to leave the details of the mayor's conference to our mayor because we were really happy to see him back and, is, taking on his leadership role. So thank you, everyone.
Let's see, I met with the Library Foundation and our Library Foundation is strong and healthy. They're having good year. They're planning a whole series of jazz concerts in the fall. They are currently approved an expense of $43,000, of which about $35,000 is to pay for programs at our libraries. These are child programs, teen programs, and some adult programs at our libraries. The Library Foundation does a fabulous job. And so please support their book sales. That's a moneymaker. They pretty close to break even on the jazz concerts. They don't make much money on jazz concerts, but they're really good jazz concerts. They bring in some real good, high quality jazz musicians. So they approved a budget of $43,000 for our library programs. And I know Kathy and her library team are very grateful to get that extra money. It goes into the story walk. It goes into story times and things like that with the little kids that the county doesn't pay for. We pay for hours and maintenance, and the county pays for hours. And there's some monies that go into actually buying books and things, but these pay for programs that we wouldn't otherwise get. And I think that our Library Foundation is a wonderful group.
Good thing. Peter?
I don't have any committee meetings updates, but welcome back, Mayor Hudson.
Thank you.
It's great to see you. I wish you speed recovery. It's great to see you. And on the community side, I have update on Saturday. There is a AIA Maya Bazaar event. It's from 11 o'clock till 5 o'clock. I'm sure all council members received invitation from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. That's when they want to invite and honor our local city council members as well as local congressmen and other members of the community leadership. So that's in Bishop Ranch, 2600 Camino Ramon. So hopefully I'll see you all there. That's pretty much my updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Sridhar. And I'll have a brief report. Oh, Mark, I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I've attended a bunch of community activities and I'm really glad to have you back and maybe we can kind of trade some of that back off. But one of the events I went to on April 26th was over at Windermere Ranch Middle School. It was Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, and they had a Spirit Week, and I spent some time with their special day class, answered questions about what a mayor and council members do, did some games, did some artworks, had lunch with them. It was just a great day. They even got to participate in an earthquake and evacuation drill. So that was a lot of fun. Truck time, on Saturday, that was
That was
fantastic.
fabulous.
Great turnout for that, more vehicles than last year. But sponsored by one of our, local Rotary clubs. Also went to, an art award ceremony over at the community center on the 30th. And, this was art awards sponsored by the Dublin San Ramon Women's Club for elementary school, through high school students, and, just some incredible works of art that were done, and we passed out awards. Mayor Hernandez from Dublin and I passed out awards for all the first, second, and third place winners. Also on the 4th of May, I attended the Dream Makers and Risk Takers award ceremony. This is sponsored by the Tri-Valley Innovation Leadership Group. And we had one of our own from San Ramon, Cal High, Srinikesh Kanaluru, who was a winner. And he had put together like a speakerphone device that helps with individuals who have diabetes. It's kind of like a Hey Siri thing, but it's called Nutri. It's Hey Nutri. And you can speak into it what you're going to eat or whatever, and it's like an artificial intelligence. It'll kind of speak back to you what the glycemic index is or what you've been eating so far that day. It printed up on a speakerphone on a 3D printer. Just an incredible piece of technology. One of our own high school kids put together and got an award for. On the 5th of May over at Neil Armstrong Elementary School, it was International Day. There was 17 nations that were represented, and a lot of good food and art and displays, and some great performances by some young elementary school kids. That was a lot of fun. Then also on the 5th, it was a privilege to be a judge at Senior Wildcat Day. This is at the Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center. So the high school had a competition for 12 duets with a Disney fairy tale theme, and just incredible entertainment. Some just a lot of fun. I was one of 3 judges, and we got to pick the winner, who, by the way, was Mary Poppins and Bert. And you mentioned Street Smarts. Let's see. Yesterday I was at the Open Space Advisory Committee meeting. We met over at the Tassajara Ridge Trail access at the staging area, and took a look out to the south towards Dublin, where there's going to be a kind of a connecting trail at some point that will kind of connect into our Tassajara Ridge Trail. And then we went to the far end in Danville to where that trail comes out. It's over by the Tassajara Parks subdivision or proposed project. And we have the potential to kind of be the windfall recipient of that whole development by getting about 700 acres on our flanks that will help protect our open space from further development if that project goes through. Let's see. Yesterday was also the Senior Foundation meeting, and there was a lot of talk about budget and how to use some of the designated funds they have. They're looking for ideas for designated funds. They've got some money. I think that they can move towards senior programs. And if you haven't seen the Encore newsletter, I encourage everybody to take a look at that for our seniors and over 55 community. Got a lot of great information. Sign up for it. If you're not a member, if you haven't signed up for Encore, please do so. But it's got some great info on upcoming events and projects and activities and opportunities for seniors over at the Senior Center. And there's other things, but I will stop with that.
Okay, and I would finish this off quickly if I can. First, I want to thank Mark Armstrong and the whole council for the job you did while I was off rehab. I attended the U.S. Conference of Mayors back in January, and it wasn't all just medical. There was couple of good speakers there. I think some of the things that are going to be coming our way were spoken about. Hate speech is going to get a lot of attention by Congress. And it really drove home, you have to stay within your purview. Because if you get off on a tangent and you start listening to things that we have nothing to do with, we don't do treaties, we don't do any of that stuff, then you have to listen to the other side and give equal attention and time. And it can be very problematic. So we'll see how far Congress goes. We saw what Dave Cortese did when giving out to run with what is 13 on 13. I can't remember the numbers anymore. But it was a very good conference other than the obvious. But it's good to be back. Thank you one and all. Special thanks to Karen Smith. What a job. Does she ever do a bad one? We will have the mayor's conference back here in December, and I'm already looking forward to dinner in the trees. When they decorate those trees, she just does a fantastic, all of you did. It's really something to look forward to, the mayor's conference. Hopefully, and special thanks to Luella Haskew, to the councilwoman from Walnut Creek. You see, Mark wasn't the only one I dumped a lot of meetings. Luella had to run all the mayor's conference while I was gone. And she was extremely helpful when I was trying to get through my first meeting Thursday. You tend to just sort of jump around when you haven't done this in a while. And she brought me back to, look to the left, stay on target. But it's great to be back. And I think you guys have done a fantastic job while I was gone. I really think that we're going to end up, or we're going to be thankful that we did the action we did tonight on Planning Commission. I mean, 99% of the time I would have told you everything Mark was saying is the way we should do it. But simply because I wasn't here to interview doesn't mean that we don't proceed. You found that out the hard way. 4 people can make the decisions, and you've made some right decisions. You had the public come in here and tell you they're proud of what you're doing. Anyway, if there's no, go ahead. Public comment. Oh, public comment? Anyone wish to speak this?
Yes, we have a speaker card from Taiwan Secountry.
For
Oh.
the mayor's, or for our council comments.
Yeah.
Okay, so my name is Taiwan Secountry, TYWON Taiwan Secountry. Okay, so regarding sidewalk, I just want to share with the council members that I've been going to the county meetings, and it seems like we are down because down on road maintenance because of gas tax is down. As you can imagine, a lot of people are driving electric cars now. And because electric cars do not need to gas up, then they don't pay into a fund called the gas fund, that gas tax fund that goes to repair the roads. And so I'm really concerned that on the unincorporated area of our county, that especially we are immediately adjacent to in the Danville area, and also the section that goes towards Dublin, that a lot of cyclists might fall because of the potholes and, pavements. So I really would like, if you are in conference with other politicians or lawmakers regarding maintenance of pavements, that you can please look into how to make those electric car drivers also pay, to maintain roads. It's not fair to just ask me to pay for everyone and they just have fun. Regarding AIA, I also heard this at the county level talking about it. If I am, on the same page as what you think or what you said AIA is, I think they're trying to ask our county to adopt and the taxpayers to pay a website that they just went out and got it, and now they want us to maintain it for them, and it will cost $3,000. AIA stands for Alamo. No, okay. That AIA is not this AIA.
Association of Indo-American Cities, nothing to do with any city or county.
Yeah.
And they are doing this event in Bishop Ranch, not even in city facility.
But is AIA what I just said? Is
No.
Alamo? It's a different AIA.
It's a different area.
Got it. Okay, then I apologize. Regarding Washington, DC, Mayor Hudson, I'm so glad that you're able to recover in such a short amount of time. It's truly amazing. I would like to know if it's possible, if you, care to share, where was this restaurant, or, where did you eat last? And I will try to avoid.
I just fell in a parking lot. No, not a parking lot. I was just walking down the sidewalk and tripped.
Got it. So it wasn't food related
No.
or, okay. I was really afraid that it would be like, foul
No.
play.
No.
Okay. And then regarding hate speech that you just said, I just want to say that today, there was a celebration
Your time is up. Your time is up.
on AAPI. And to
Your time
me,
is
as someone from Taiwan, AAPI is actually hate
You
speech.
need to sit down.
Because
Your
I
time
am
is
from
up.
Taiwan and Taiwan is not a part of China. And AAPI is
Please sit
appointing
down.
communist
Your time
Chinese
is up.
to
There'll be
lead all
public
the
comment,
Asian
and if you can
people.
Do that again.
So to me, that is hate speech. So please
Okay.
never call me AAPI. And please call me by Taiwan's a country. Otherwise, it's hate
Okay,
speech.
okay.
Thank you.
Any further speaking on my report or the council's report?
Yes, we have one hand raised and it is from Dinesh Govindara.
Hey, Dinesh. You have 3 minutes.
No, I just wanted to say welcome back. Dave. It's nice to see that you're back, and that's all I wanted to say. I'll keep it short. I know you like it short and sweet, but welcome back. It's nice to see you, and it was nice to see you at the mayor's conference.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close the comments on our reports and let's open up public comment. Anyone wishing to speak to any items out on the agenda?
Yes, we have
Spoken before?
one speaker card for public comments from Taiwan's a country.
Okay. Again, this is about what I heard from the county level, and I just want to put it on the table because I know it's coming down on our throat by year 2030. Okay, so there is an initiative that I heard presented at the legislative committee at the county level. It is called 3030 initiative. What it means is by year 2030, 30% of the police force will be women. And I don't have anything against that because I'm a woman. However, knowing the Democrats, I know that there is something hiding behind this initiative. It could be that either we're going to lower standards for, our police because we're hiring women, which they said it shouldn't be, or could it be transgender women? Then if it's transgender women, is that, really women? I just want us to have police officers who are qualified. I really don't care what gender they are, what kind of, identity they are. We are all Americans. I really don't understand why these days Democrats have to go out there and divide us so much so as to not call me as a Taiwanese American, but AAPI. Thank you.
Any other?
There are no other public comments.
Okay, we'll close public comment.
I did want to have one thing to say that electric car owners now pay a substantial fee as part of their annual
Upfront.
registration. Isn't that
Yeah.
correct? Because you do not have to pay fuel taxes. They impose a substantial fee on your annual registration for electric cars. So there is a method of helping pay for the maintenance of roads in defense of electric car owners.
Yeah. And there should be, no, maybe there'll be more. Okay. If there's nothing further tonight, I will adjourn to our next meeting. What is it, 4 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now,